Yes, I welcome to my talk about experiencing conversation with AI. And today I want to talk about the user-centered design, the implementation, and the evaluation of conversational user interfaces. So thank you very much for the invitation to this nice chatbot summit. And yes, but at first, a short introduction, what it is all about. And the easiest thing how you can see what it's all about is to see a little video about one of our works. So here we have a little video about a chatbot that we created for the project, a chatbot in the museum. And what you can see, how the users will choose a pseudonym because it was an experiment that was conducted in the museum, actually a field test, and the users had to log in so that all the data is collected. They get an information about how the whole experiment works. So, and I hope that you could hear the bot. It explained itself via speech. You also could read it in English, so the bot is in German. And now the user is selecting a picture in the museum, and the picture is showing, is being shown in the floor plan. And now the user, now questions about the exhibit could be asked. And how this works, you will see a little bit later. So today, I want to start with the aspect of designing conversational experiences. So I will give you some impulses from two projects here. It's one project which is called To Hive, and the other one is SLF. And what that means, you will see soon. So if we plan to design conversational interaction, one question could be, okay, what to do, what to design now. And in our To Hive project, everything goes about a toolbox for hybrid events. So this is something that we are actually experiencing here at the moment. The goal is to develop such a toolbox that can serve a variety of event formats. So for example, what we are having here today and tomorrow. And application scenarios could, for example, be showroom tours, presentations like what I'm doing at the moment, but even workshops and networking, the integration of social media, and also what I try to highlight here a little bit, the conversational concierge. And this is what we, the DFKI, are building in this project. So, okay, and now, how should we do that? So we decided, of course, to do a user-centered design of the conversational system, and also decided to do this directly in Spaces. So Spaces is a virtual reality software that is being brought into the project by one of our partners. And here you can see my own avatar in Spaces and see these 4 little islands in this big room. And on these islands, we conducted actually the ideation with all the participants of the project plus some extra partners. So how did we do it? The ideation was split into 3 subtasks. And in the first subtask, we asked the people just to gather ideas. So they should just tell us what they would like to see a future mobile conversational concierge to be like. Yeah, and so here they had about 15 minutes to gather their ideas. After this subtask, they had to refine their ideas. So the question was, how could it be done? So that means they had to write up how you could actually bring the ideas that were formulated into life. And it was their task to refine one or more of these ideas, and also to describe the special thing about it, because if we do ideation, we'd want to do something new, something innovative that is not there by now. In the third subtask, their task was to even sketch it a little bit. So they had 20 minutes to write up or just paint a picture how the interaction with the system could look like, or how the high-level architecture of the system could look like, and so on. And also already to write up which data or information would be important to do this or that task with the conversational system. So this setup was built in the Spaces software, in the virtual reality world that you saw before. And these three tasks were gone through, and after that they had to present their results. So this is how the whole stories of the ideation flows were written down in Spaces. So here you can see the results of the ideation 1 to 4 and 5 to 8. And so what actually happened was that after the ideations, we took these stories and tried to identify their ideas and how their ideas evolved. And in this first ideation, we had the result that the users like to have some sentiment analysis about the event, also an analysis about the contribution of the specific talk, for example, and they wanted to have a feature like a participant matchmaking. This was only the result of ideation 1. So all these ideations had specific results, maybe other results. Others wanted, for example, information about the dates of the event, for example, schedule, the navigation, and so on and so forth. So very different results from the whole ideation could be collected. And what we did then is we tried to cluster these results and to identify these clusters in order to know which specific functionalities would be important to be integrated into the chatbot, into the conversational system. And it turned out that classical, what we named here, frequently asked questions, for example, questions about the speakers or about the program of the event, or the biographies. Other things would be more higher order functionalities, I would say, which could be formulated as text mining. Here we have specific contributions, for example, talks, and we could create, for example, summaries of these talks, or we could extract named entities of these talks in order to know about which topics the talks were all about. And then we could, for example, also match the participants' interests to these information. And so also what we can see here is more or less the importance by means of how often the specific ideas were named. Yeah, so text mining and FAQ are very important compared to image recognition and navigation. So, and this will mean that for the first version of the system, image recognition navigation is maybe not integrated. So as a next step, we also wrote down a persona so that we know who would be the best, so to say, user to use our system, which is quite important in the user-centered design process. And at the moment, we are specifying context of use in the form of scenarios for the virtual world and also for the on-site usage of the system. So there will be a smartphone app where our concierge, our conversational concierge, will be living, but also a virtual agent, an avatar, where the virtual agent, where the concierge will be living. So, and then we will follow up with integration of dialogue design. We will build a minimum viable prototype, how we call it in research projects. And after that, the implementation of the functional components will start. So as a takeaway, so such a multi-stakeholder ideation is a very important step from our point of view to identify the crucial capabilities of such a system. These ideas collected can be clustered, and in the whole user-centered design process, the standard usage like personas and other methodologies like scenario usage and so on to specify the context of use is very important. So, but now, how should we design that? And now I want to make a step to another project. This is the SLF, the Stadt-Land-Fluss project. In English, it would be the city-land flow. And what we are here conducting research in is the problem that we try to build and strengthen value chains between the city and the land. So that could be, for example, for regional food systems. The idea is that the potatoes around a city are delivered directly from the area around the city and not maybe from North Africa. So here's a video about this Stadt-Land-Fluss system. And in this case, you could think that a farmer is using it. The farmer is using our multimodal chatbot in order to say, for example, that his potatoes are ready now. He just collected them from the field and now he wants to sell them. Yeah. Farmer wants to sell potatoes. He can select the specific product. He can tell using the chatbot how many potatoes he wants to sell. He can specify the price and specify if it's a bio product and other important things. And the system then also calculates how many packages are, for example, created then and going into the stores. At some point, if all the information is collected, there will be shown a nice widget of all the information. You can see if it's correct, and now the product is registered and can be sold. So how did we do that? Here, we at first created an MVP, the minimum viable prototype. And what is very important here, for example, to create user stories and use cases and to write down such a scenario. I won't read out that loud, but here we can see the whole story, how the interaction with the system could look like. And from there, we break down into use cases. And here you can see how we actually worked with the description of the use case in order to break this usage story down into a dialogue flow chart. Yeah, and this is what is then actually being implemented. So in the flowchart, we at first create the happy path about the interaction with the system. And we use also specific widgets. So unfortunately, this example is in German, but here the Schnellauswahlen are classical known quick replies. Yeah, but we can also have other widgets in the dialogue, like, for example, lists or a date picker or something. And how we are using these widgets, we are addressing in our research using a widget explorer. And here you can see this widget explorer. You can set up little experiments, and here you can see that the user is interacting with the system, and then an error occurs. So in this case, 300 pounds were entered, and the user just wanted to buy 30 pounds. And we can correct this error in different ways. And how this correction works creates a specific user experience within the users, of course. Yeah, and here we can sketch these little differences between the widgets. So how this problem in the task is being solved, and then the users or the participants of this experiment can very easily give their rating just by selecting A, B, or C, red, blue, or green. So they can select which was the nicest way how the problem was solved. So the takeaway here would be that these flowcharts can help you in the dialogue design, create the happy path first. And of course, multimodal interaction is very important because we as humans also communicate in a multimodal way. So let's take a step to the data-driven implementation. And here I want to tell you a story about the project CHIM, which is called a chatbot in the museum. So here we have a conversational system that is able to receive questions and answer questions to the users. It was evaluated in the Städel Museum in Frankfurt, and you will get some insights. So the idea is actually that the user is often standing in front of the system and doesn't want to be told anything. They just want to look. But then questions come into their minds, and then they want to have answers for these questions. So we had to ask ourselves, what kinds of questions will these visitors ask? So, and this could, for example, be factual questions like when was the picture painted, or also open question like the story behind the picture. So what we did first is that we collected data, that we collected actual question data about 15 exhibits, and these data were then put into so-called content types. It means we classified the different questions into content types, and what we did is that we improved our natural language understanding process by means of these content types. So that means if you know that the visitor of the museum is asking about the artist, and you know where in the answer text you have information about the artist, it's of course much easier to tell to give back a good answer. So the takeaway here should be that you should base your information, of course, on relevant data, and if you don't have it, get it, because you need it in order to improve your NLP stack. And yeah, at the end, I want to give a short insight about the evaluation that we conducted in the chatbot in the museum question. So see one question first. So how big is this picture? And this fact answer can, of course, be given from a database. So we conducted this field test in the Städel Museum, and yeah, we were asking a user experience questionnaire and some system-specific questions, and we found, for example, out that the quality of the voice output is a decisive factor for evaluating the user experience of the system. Other results, for example, where that speech is much more stimulating than touch interaction on the one hand side. On the other side, the pragmatic quality, which is quite the same as the usability of the touchscreen interaction, was perceived as better. And we also had some effects regarding the age and the answer correctness. So as a takeaway, yeah, if you evaluate, define at first what you want to evaluate and be aware of how and where you can actually evaluate, and determine your evaluation procedure good. So as an end, we have open question to the system. Yeah, and here you can see that at the end, the system actually was also able to answer the many of the open questions in a good way. So thank you for your interest, and please get in contact with me if you are interested in more information about our work. Thank you.